Do you ever get on YouTube to look up self-defense techniques or learn martial arts and ever wondered if you can really learn it through YouTube or online? Today we're going to be discussing just that. Welcome to Central Coast Self-Defense. I'm Peter, and today we're going to be discussing whether or not you can learn self-defense online. So in my opinion, yes, you definitely can learn self-defense online. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't show any techniques or talk about concepts. I wouldn't have this channel. And I'm sure many other YouTubers who show martial arts and self-defense, I'm sure they believe the same thing. Learning self-defense or martial arts on YouTube can be difficult. The main thing that's going to be difficult is you need a resisting opponent. Bob, I can hit Bob all day, but Bob doesn't hit back. Bob doesn't maneuver around away from me. Now, I can find ways of making that possible, like hitting one of those double end bags that maneuver around. I can do different things to mimic a person moving. I can shadow box and imagine in my mind somebody maneuvering around and what I would do in different techniques. But that only goes so far. When you're dealing with another person, an opponent who is doing things that you may not understand what they're doing, or if they're doing things that completely catch you by surprise, learning how to adjust and how to adapt to that is a huge part of fighting. I may be really good at coming in and creating these angles and maneuvering around, but if I don't get good at somebody else doing that to me, it makes a huge difference. So you have to train with another person. Maybe you don't need to do it all the time, but you do need to do it often. You need to be training with a separate person often. Solo drills and doing things on your own help tremendously. Every good fighter, every champion, every person who's ever accomplished anything in martial arts, they do solo drills. They work on their own. They learn things and they practice it on their own. And I'm sure they get very creative of finding ways to make it work. And as long as you're willing to do that, you can learn online. But you do need a partner sometimes. And you do need to get some professional instruction. So that means going to gyms from time to time. You can visit them. They usually give you free classes. You can test out your skills there. You can ask the coach to watch you. You can pay for private lessons. There are ways of doing it. You need to find somebody who is better than you, who can watch you do it and make sure you're doing it correctly. You need to test it out against resistance with a partner to make sure you're doing it correctly. And look for your weak points. Another great tip is to record yourself. That's something that I do personally, and that's helped me out a lot in the past. I would record myself doing drills. I would record myself sparring. I would do different things like that and go back later and look at the video. And if you're a little bit in tune with martial arts and you know a little bit about it, you can see your mistakes. You can see what it is that you're doing wrong. If you ever see somebody on YouTube who do solo drills, or they're doing techniques against a heavy bag or anything, watch their video, do the techniques, recording yourself, and then compare the videos. Look at them side by side and see if you look like them, if you're doing it the way they're doing it. And if it feels weird or it doesn't feel powerful, or whatever the case may be, look for the little tiny details that's making the difference. That's how you can learn it online. But you do have to have somebody who tells you how to do it as a solo drill. You can be creative and figure it out on your own, but it's going to be much easier if the YouTuber you listen to shows solo drills. So that's why in this channel, I try to show solo drills and mention how you can practice it on your own. Because watching a video by itself is not going to help you. You have to actually do the movements. I started learning jiu-jitsu mostly on my own. That's a hard art to learn on your own because you need the other person with you. But laying on the floor, and I use Bob, put Bob in so many arm bars, Americanas, omoplatas, triangle chokes. I've done all kinds of stuff to Bob. And it's not the same as training with the person, because Bob doesn't resist me, but I would imagine what Bob could do, how he could maneuver his hands, and how he could do things, and I would try to prevent it. So that's something that I personally do, and it helped me a lot in jiu-jitsu. When I went to my first class, I actually did pretty well. And every class after that, I was actually doing pretty well. So it did help a lot, but you learn tremendously by knowing a little bit, training with the person, seeing where you're making your mistakes, where you're not doing good. You know, where did you find yourself confused? Like, were there any times you weren't sure what to do? Go back, watch some videos, learn a little bit, train it again, and then try it again with another person and see how you do again. So that's an alternative to training at a gym. However, training at a gym is always going to be the best, and using YouTube as a supplement. If you're only taking the supplement, learning from YouTube, it's possible, but it's going to be difficult. Remember, people get degrees online. The Gracies have a whole university where you can go all the way up to a blue belt level simply by watching videos and practicing on your own. So it can be done. People do learn martial arts on their own. They do learn it at home. People get tons of degrees and work in professional fields from stuff they learned online. If you're willing to put the effort in and you have the creativity to do it, you can make it happen. Train at a gym if it's possible, and use YouTube as a supplement. But if for whatever reason, whether it's you're too young, don't have the money, don't have the time, because of your work hours, you're in a very remote location or whatever it may be, and you don't have the opportunity to train, then learning online is an alternative, but make sure you're drilling it at home and actually doing the movements, not just watching the videos. Replay the videos over and over if you have to, and listen to them as they coach you. But you have to actually do the movements. And from time to time, you have to train it with the partner, and you have to have somebody fully resisting you. You don't have to do it every day, but at least from time to time, you do have to do that. Otherwise, you will never learn it. So that's my advice. Thank you for watching Central Coast Self-Defense. I'm glad to have you on.